Have you ever thought about the massive expanse that is the universe? Hello, anybody. This is That Manga Dude, and we are here for another pickups video. This is the good old-fashioned September 2023 pickups video, aka my birthday month, aka the month where, I've actually got a good amount of manga, about the same as I made, or about the same as I picked up last month in August. But yeah, a lot of great stuff, and I'm really excited to get into this one because I actually picked up some really cool stuff just across the board from a variety of publishers too, and I'm really excited to talk about it. So let's get right into it right now. Bam. Okay, so if you've never watched one of my pickups videos before, the way that it typically works is I'm going to be talking about, in the first section, manga from publishers that either A, are defunct and no longer exist, or B, I just didn't pick up that many from, which is going to be quite a few of these publishers because a lot of them are still around. But yeah, let's get right into it right now. So, first up, from Square Enix Manga, Square Enix Manga, I got the second volume of Demons of the Shadow Realm from Hiromu Arakawa. This is her newest series. If you don't know this mangaka, it's the same mangaka behind Full Metal Alchemist and Silver Spoon. I don't know why I'm blanking on that. But she's a remarkable manga artist, and she is really good at writing and also art as well. So yeah, I read the first volume a while back, and I thought it was pretty good. It didn't actually rank very high in that specific FBI. But I do think it is worth a read. It is a very solid shonen series, but yeah, excited to get into this one as soon as possible. Alright, up next, this is from Fantagraphics, but also from Manga Splaining. So Manga Splaining, if you don't know, is a podcast run by a few people in the manga industry and I think one person in the comic book industry, if I remember correctly. I've listened to a couple of their podcast episodes. They're actually pretty funny and very informative as well, so definitely give it a shot. But they just recently released a manga with the help of Fantagraphics to be able to publish it, and that is Okinawa from Susumu Higa. So this thing is super awesome. It's kind of hard to tell, but this is actually not huge in terms of the length times width, but its depth is massive. It is a big boy, but it is a very gorgeous release. I don't actually know too much about it, but I really wanted to pick it up, especially when I saw that it was going to be released in print. I'm a big fan of picking up these kind of just, I would say not so well known to the populace, or at least the popular opinion, or whatever you want to call it. I do like to pick this kind of stuff up because I like talking about it, and I also really just enjoy reading it. It's it's really, I don't know, it's kind of fun to read something that most people have not read before. So definitely can't wait to get into this one, and I will let you guys know when I do read it. Alright, up next, from Comics One, who is a publisher that no longer exists. This is the first volume of Wild 7 Agent, I guess, from Mikiya Mochizuki. I don't know much about this, but there was a comic book store that was having a pretty big sale for Labor Day weekend. I think it was 50% off all of the manga, so I decided to pick this up, mostly because it's got really cool old school art, and it's weirdly, of course, published from left to right, which is not regular for current manga. Obviously, for current manga standards, this is a very old release from what I could tell. So yeah, can't wait to get into this one as well. Alright, up next, from Vertical, we got ourselves Go With The Clouds, North by Northwest, Volume 6 from Aki Inoue. We have been waiting for this volume for a long time, and I'm so happy to have it finally, because I love this series. This series is fantastic. I would say it's one of my favorite currently releasing series. But yeah, this is an absolutely gorgeous series following this story about this dude here, who kind of has these somewhat supernatural powers. I won't really discuss it, just to keep it spoiler free, but he lives in Iceland with, I believe it's supposed to be it's either his uncle or his grandpa. I don't remember 100%, but yeah, you could tell I very much like this stuff. AKA, I have a hard time remembering the super kind of not necessarily important details, or those kind of details, but I know the general gist, and obviously this one is really enjoyable. But basically, yeah, it's about this dude who has some supernatural powers and lives in Iceland, and kind of just does favors and little tasks here and there while living in this country. And yeah, it's just a really beautiful manga. It's really well done. I have not read this volume yet, but I know I'm going to be reading it soon. All right, up next, I picked up the third volume of Dinosaur Sanctuary from Itaru Kinoshita with the research consultants Shinichi Fujiwara. So, if you don't know this series is super awesome. This is basically follows this girl who starts to work at what I would basically say is Jurassic Park if it didn't go wrong. So, dinosaurs they found a way to resurrect dinosaurs and keep them in these, like, basically like a zoo in a safe way, and it's great. Yeah, so it just follows, like, kind of this story about this girl who loves dinosaurs, and it's her dream to basically help and run this dinosaur sanctuary, as the name suggests. And yeah, it's really fun, it's really fluffy, but it's also got, like, surprisingly, like, well-detailed dinosaurs and, like, really well-written dialogue, and just there's a lot of information about dinosaurs, which is really cool. So if you like dinosaurs, definitely give this a shot. I'm really excited to get into this volume soon. Alright, coming up next, another super hyped release, Eminon from Dark Horse, Shinji Kagio and Kenji Tsuruta. I forgot to mention the Dinosaur Sanctuary is from Seven Seas, but yeah, Eminon Wanderer Part 3. This is Volume 4, released from Dark Horse, literally just recently. Super exciting. I love this series. Follows the story about this girl named Eminon, who basically, every time she is born or reincarnated, she knows everything since the beginning of time. So it's about her story and how she grows with this information, and how this information affects her as she's growing up in her multiple lifetimes, and how it affects her and her relationships with others. So yeah, overall, it's just a really existential series. It's really well drawn and it's really well written. It's a really great time. Really excited to read more if they do come out. I think this is the last volume. Don't take my word for that. But yeah, Eminon is awesome. It's definitely worth a shot. And another thing from Dark Horse, I picked up another volume of Gunsmith Cats, the chunky versions. The left to right versions from Dark Horse. This is Mr. V, which I believe is supposed to be one of the last ones for this type of print. Don't know that 100% sure, but I do have most of them now, and that is really exciting. So I can't wait to get back into it, because I really love this series. It was a lot of fun reading it when I first picked up the first volume, I guess you can call it that. Yeah, I can't wait to read more of this series. Alright, into our next section, basically the non-Viz Media section, aka the section that I got a few more volumes from, but not as much as Viz Media. Viz Media just prints out a lot of stuff, and they have a lot of imprints, so I tend to pick up most of their volumes, or a lot of their volumes, so they're going to be the last section. But this section is going to contain some of the bigger publishers that you probably know, so let's get right into it. So, Kodansha, up first, we have the next volume of Shaman King Flowers. This is Volume 4 from Hiroyuki Take, which is a sequel to the fantastic, lovely, wonderful Shaman King series, my favorite series of all time. And yeah, excited to get this. I've been really enjoying the series, but definitely you need to read the first one to truly understand what the heck's going on within Shaman King Flowers. But yeah, definitely worth a read if you have read the original series. Alright, coming up next, we have ourselves the Darwin Incident from Shun Umezawa. So I did an FEI for this one recently, so if you want to go check that out, you can get my full opinion on this. And I'll talk more about this as well as in a TLDR during my reading log, which is going to come out next week. But yeah, cool to have this. It's a really weird series following the story about this human Z is what they call it, known as Charlie. And yeah, he's growing up in this world where he gets picked on for being a human Z, but he's like super smart and really strong. And yeah, it's really strange. It's very weird. But yeah, definitely go see what it's all about. Alright, up next, I just recently, literally yesterday, picked up the 9th volume of Witch Hat Atelier from Kamome Shirahama. Yeah, this series is fantastic. I've talked about it about a million times, and it is a Will Eisner winner. This is, I guess, important enough to put it on the cover. So, yeah, I talked about the series a lot. It basically follows the story about this girl named Coco who ends up becoming a witch after she basically puts a spell on her mother and puts her in crystal, and she doesn't know how to get rid of it, so she becomes a witch, or is training to become a witch in order to somehow save her mom and find out what the heck's going on in this world. And yeah, it's a fantastic series. It's definitely worth a shot. And yeah, I have the 9th volume here. Alright, up next, oh my goodness, I finally got Wand Dance Volume 6 So happy to have this. I love this series so much. I've talked about it a bajillion times. But basically, it follows a story about this kid named Kabo-kun, who is a very tall child, like a very tall kid. But like suffers from a stutter, or like is struggling with a stutter, where he has a hard time talking to people unless he feels extremely comfortable. But yeah, he basically meets this girl named Wanda, and they like hit it off as like friends, and she convinces him to join the dance team on like at the school that they go to. So he learns this new like level of expression through dancing. And wow, this series is fantastic. It's super awesome. It's very well detailed. It's a ton of fun. I love this series quite a bit, and yeah, really excited to get into this volume as well. Okay, coming in from Tokyo Pop. I actually got a lot of Tokyo Pop stuff. Most of it is out of print Tokyo Pop stuff, but bear with me. I'll go with the stuff that's currently out, and then I'll go into the out of print stuff. So first, I managed to pick up the 4th volume of Our Not So Lonely Planet Travel Guide, following by Mone Sarai. I love this series. The series is flippin' awesome. It's a BL story following these 2 dudes here on the front. One of them is kind of like a nerdy, like quiet guy, but very meticulous, very like focused on making sure everything is going correctly. While the other guy is kind of a happy-go-lucky, a little bit more like on the like, oh, let's just leave it up to chance and luck kind of thing. So yeah, it's about these 2 dudes. One of them is like, I'll only marry you if we travel around the world. And he's like, all right, well, let's do it. So it's about their story as they travel around the world, discovering stuff about themselves, about their sexuality, their identities, and also like how it's different around the world. And yeah, it's a fantastic story. It's really great. Definitely give it a shot. It's a ton of fun. Alright, next one I picked up, If My Favorite Pop Idol Made It to the Budokan, I Would Die, from Aori Hiado. Follows the story of these people who are super into this like idol group, underground idol group, and one of the main character, basically, she's a girl, is like totally head over heels of this one idol who's not super popular. But yeah, it's about that, I guess, is the best way to put it. The first volume was really cute. I have not read this one yet, but I will be getting into it soon. Alright, up next, I picked up the first volume of Samurai Deeper Kyo from Akimine Kamijo. Yeah, I don't know much about this other than the creator is female. I don't know like why that was like something that like was super important when people were talking about the series. Hopefully as I read through it, maybe that will like come out. Probably because I believe this is like either a shonen or a what's it called? Either a shonen or a seinen series. I'm not 100% sure. So maybe that's like why that's such a big deal. But I feel like anybody can make a manga in any kind of genre or demographic. You know, and as long as it's good and fun, then that's great. But I think it makes a big difference when it's a female in a heavily male-dominated section like shonen or seinen. So yeah, can't wait to get into this and see what all the hubbub is about. Alright, up next, I picked up the first volume of the original Digimon manga. So now I have the first volumes for both Part 1 and Part 2. This is from Yuen Wong Yu, I think is how you pronounce it. I probably should look that up. But anyways, Digimon, fantastic series. It's a series about the digital monsters following Tai Takamine here on the front. And our boy Agumon. It's a great story. I love Digimon so much. So really, really happy to have this and can't wait to read it. Alright, coming up next, I picked up this omnibus that I don't really know what it's about, but it just looked kind of cool. It's called Haruhana, the complete collection from Yuana Kazumi. Yeah, I don't know anything about it, but it looked kind of cute and it was pretty cheap, so definitely just kind of throwing it out there and see what it's all about. Up next, this is from Yen Press now. We have moved on to the next part. So Yen Press, I picked up Bungo Stray Dogs Volume 6 from Kafka Asagiri and Sango Harukawa. I just recently read a couple of these volumes and I'm like back into the series again. So back to reality. Oh, there goes sanity. I don't know. Anyways, Bungo Stray Dogs is a ton of fun. I've been really enjoying the series. And yeah, can't wait to keep reading. Alright, up next, I picked up the 4th volume of Shadow's House from Somato. So this series is really fascinating in terms of like just like the story and everything. Follows a story about these like kind of like doll people that are basically the faces and bodies of the shadow people. So it's just like a really fascinating story. It's really weird, and there's like a crazy mystery just kind of going on. But art is great. The story is a ton of fun. Can't wait to get into this one as well. Up next, I picked up the first volume of Glitch from Shima Shinya. I talked about this in the recent FBI. Yeah, but just to give you a quick synopsis, follows the story about this family, the Lee family. They moved to this town, and there was just a lot of strange occurrences going around this town. Like, they see like this giant, like kind of like glitchy looking animal thing, and she sees like a little thing. A little monster looking thing that's like looking at her at night. And yeah, so it's about them trying to figure out this mystery that's going on with this town, which everyone seems to be totally fine with these things just happening around town. So yeah, it's an interesting premise, and I don't really want to talk about it too much, so you can read it or go check out the FEI if you want a full synopsis, basically. So, but yeah, really cool to have this. I love Shima Shinya's work. It's great. Alright, coming up next, I picked up The Essence of Being Amused Volume 2 from Aya Fumino. So, I read the first volume a few months back. I don't really remember what month it was, but I believe it was in an FEI, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. Follow the story about this girl here on the cover, who basically wants to become an art student, going to art college, fulfilling her dreams, but she is outright rejected by that said art college, so her life basically falls into kind of a spiral led by her mom, telling her what to do, what work she should get into, who she should be dating, and stuff like that. So eventually it catches up to her, and she's like, I really want to follow my dreams. So it's about her chasing that after the rejection, after kind of having her life controlled for a few years. So really interesting premise. The first volume was great, and I can't wait to get into this one as well. And the last thing from Yen Press, we got ourselves a Bride Story Volume 14 from Kaoru Mori. This series is super awesome. I've talked about it a ton. But it's a really cool hardcover with a beautiful slipcover as well. Follows a story about a variety of people across, I believe... I always screw this up. It's somewhere in Asia, somewhere near kind of where Russia, or south of Russia. But yeah, follows the story about these variety of nomadic families who marry into other families for political reasons, from financial reasons, etc., etc., etc. But it's about their stories growing up in this world. It's kind of a slice of life series. It's kind of like a political war drama going on in the background. This volume specifically focuses more on that. But yeah, overall, it's a fantastic series. His art is great. Kaoru Mori is a fantastic artist. I've talked about that a ton. If you've never read anything from her work, I would say definitely give Bride Story a shot. It's a good time. It's wonderful. Just an overall fantastic series. All right, into our last section, we have our VR. Wow, we have the Viz Media section. So this is all of the manga from the Viz Media Publishing Company, aka all of their bajillion imprints, which I've separated for the most part. So let's get right into it. We're gonna start with the Viz Signature line. First volume I'm gonna be talking about is Children of the Sea Volume 3 from Daisuke Igarashi. So really lovely series. Follows a story about this girl who meets these two boys who seem a little bit off and seem to be attracted to the sea, yet can swim throughout the sea without having to breathe or having to go out for air. They're just really interesting characters. But yeah, art is fantastic. It's just got an interesting story. It's a ton of fun. The art is very detailed, but in a kind of unique, sketchy kind of way. I don't know. You'll just have to check it out. It's it's really flipping cool, but definitely I would say it's not for everybody in terms of the art style. But for me, this hits a specific niche that I really enjoy. Alright, up next, I picked up the next volume of Insomniacs After School. This is volume 3 from Makoto Ojiro. Oh, I love this series. This series is so awesome. Follows the story of these two kids on the front who suffer from insomnia, and that's how they become friends. And yeah, it's about their lives together, trying to get through insomnia and kind of maybe developing some feelings. Yeah, can't wait to get into this volume. I love the first two volumes. They were fantastic. Probably one of my currently favorite releasing series. So yeah, expect to see this at the 2003 Manga Awards from that manga dude. All right, up next, I got the second volume of Until I Love Myself, The Journey of a Non-Binary Manga Artist by Poppy Pesayama, which I talked about in an FVI as well. But yeah, this series is basically for the story, like I said, of Poppy Pesayama as they talk about and discuss their life and kind of like where or how they led to writing the story and how they led to like all the things that have happened within their life and all of like the effects that it's had on their identity and a variety of other things. But yeah, this series is super awesome. I would say definitely give it a shot. Please note that there are a lot of I would argue triggering moments. Definitely take a look over like the synopsis before you read it if you're easily triggered by the things that are mentioned, because yeah, it can be really, really dark and really, really sad at many points, and just very like, I don't know, there's a lot that happens. I think I'll just keep it at that. But yeah, the first volume was great. I'm going to be talking about the second volume in the reading log next week. Alright, up next, I picked up the DRCL, also known as Dracula Midnight Children Volume 1 from Shinichi Sakamoto, based on Bram Stoker's Dracula. So, talked about this in the latest FEI as well, and yeah, just really love this release. Super awesome. I was really excited to get this when it was released, so super happy to have it. And yeah, you can hear more about my opinion on it in the FEI as well. Alright, going into Shoujo Beat now. So, I picked up a few volumes from the Shoujo Beat line. First up, I picked up the last volume of My Love Mix-Up. This is volume 9 from Aruko and Wataru Hinekure. I'm really sad because this is the last volume of the first Shoujo series that I ever read and collected for, which led into the absolute spiral into Shoujo manga. So, wow, it's hard to really encapsulate how much this series means to me. It opened up an entire demographic that I was refusing to read because of my own stupidity and I would argue some misogyny in a way. And yeah, that's my fault, and I take that and I understand why why it's bad to just ignore a complete demographic. Like I mentioned, it's probably for the reasons that I already mentioned, but yeah, definitely give shoujo a shot. You should not be like, oh, it's shoujo, that means it's only gonna be high school romance. In this instance, it is a high school romance, but please note that shoujo is a demographic, it is not a genre, so there are going to be a variety of series within the shoujo demographic that are gonna be genres that are not high school rom-coms. Like, there are plenty of them. I can promise you. There's actually one that's going to be showing up later that is not a rom-com. So, look out for that. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Keep your minds open, read some cool stuff. Anyways, I don't know why I was talking about that. My Love Mix-Up is great. Follows the story of a character named Aoki, who's the one who is currently sitting down, and basically falls into a romance with another person because of an accident, of a mix-up, as some might say. But yeah, overall, the first 8 volumes were fantastic, and I'm really, really excited to finally finish this series. And I know I'm going to be sad, but that's okay. It's worth it. Alright, up next, I picked up the second volume of Like a Butterfly from Sue Morishita. So this is the same mangaka behind, oh, don't do this again. You know what? I'm not even gonna say it. You know, this is my own problem. I've dug my own hole. I'm not even gonna try. I'm looking at my bookcase as if I'm gonna try to save myself at the last second. But I will probably throw it up again right here. Right there, right between my fingers. But yeah, really cute shoujo series. Cute little rom-com following the story about this really quiet girl who keeps being called Butterfly, and this other dude who has a hard time talking to girls. So yeah, it's about their supposedly budding romance / friendship, and interested to see where this goes. Alright, coming up next, I picked up the 13th volume of Anonymous Noise from Ryoko Fukuyama. I've talked about the series a bajillion times. Yeah, really great series. Follows a story about this girl here on the front who is a singer and loses one of her best friends because he moves away. So it's about her kind of longing to see this person again and falling in love and learning about music. And yeah, it's a very messy series, but it is a ton of fun, and I'm excited to get into this one soon. All right, up next, I picked up the third volume of my special one from Momoko Koda. Follows a story about this girl who says she's never going to fall in love because boys are stinky, stinky, stinky. But lo and behold, she finds this idol group that her friend's in love with, and she meets this idol because he starts visiting the restaurant that she works at. And yeah, she subsequently falls in love, and it's about their story and her trying to figure out if she can actually fall in love. So yeah, it's a really weird series. It's kind of complicated, and it's somewhat of an age gap. I don't know how big the age gap is because they refuse to say their ages, but it is probably a somewhat... it's not large, but it is a kind of like, there is an age gap there. So, interested to see where the series goes. I did like the first 2 volumes, and we'll see how the third one is. And last but not least, the series that I was talking about, that is Yona of the Dawn, volumes 5 and 6 from Mizuho Kusanagi. So this is a action, like action political drama series following the story of Yona, who's the girl in the red, as she has to flee her country after there is basically a coup, and she is trying to basically build her army to be able to reclaim the throne from this person. Yeah, it's a lot. It's great. It's a fantastic series. The art is fantastic. The story is building up really, really well from the first 3 volumes. And yeah, really excited to get into more of the series as soon as possible. All right, coming into the last section, we have ourselves the Viz. I don't know how to explain, the Shonen Sunday / other ones. I think you'll understand when I show you. But first, I picked up volumes 6 and 8 of Midori Days from Kazuoru Inoue. I've talked about the series probably like once total, but because of my hubris, I actually could not find volume 7. There was a volume 7 at a local bookstore, and I decided to wait on it until I could get volume 6. I was able to get volume 6, and I was like, all right, I'm going to head to that bookstore and pick up volume 7, and lo and behold, it was gone. So now I don't have a volume 7. I'm going to go probably look it up on like Amazon or something and just pick it up real quick. But yeah, really excited to get the last 2 volumes, or the 2 of the last 3 volumes that I needed. Alright, up next, I picked up the second volume of Helk from Nanaki Nano. Yeah, I don't remember a lot about this series, I'm going to be completely honest. I read the first volume a while back, and yeah, I've kind of been sitting on the back burner because these volumes have been just absolutely destroyed in transit. Every bookstore I've been to, they've just been totally messed up, except for this volume. This one seems to be pretty okay. Yeah, if I remember correctly, it follows a story about basically like there needs to be a new demon king, and they're like holding a tournament, and a human joins, and he's like, I hate humans. So yeah, he gets to participate for some reason. Yeah, that's what the series is about from what I could tell. Well, I guess we'll see what I feel about it when I read it. Alright, up next, I picked up the 5th volume of Inuyasha. Rumiko Takahashi. This is the left to right print of it with the yellow ones, so it's not the omnibuses, but yeah, I've been really enjoying the series, and I'm really excited to get another volume. Whew, sorry, I had to take a little break there. I tried to push through it, but man, my throat was like, no, you need water like right now. So I took a little break, but we are back. So picked up 3 volumes of Flame of Rekka. This is volumes 5, 6, and 7 from Nobuyuki Anzai. Follows the story about my boy Rekka here and there, who basically gains his ability, or has his ability to kind of create fire, and it's about this, his story. That's, I feel like that's the best way to explain it without having to like over-explain the story. Yeah, it's a fun little action series. I'd say give it a shot if you like action stuff. I have not read these volumes just yet, but really enjoyed the first 4 volumes in general. Alright, up next, I picked up the 2nd volume of Tough from Tetsuya Saruwatari. I believe this was not finished in English print, so I think there's only 2 or 3 volumes out. So cool, I guess I finished it, but yeah, it's cool to have it wrapped, and it looks like it's like new or has been rewrapped, but neat to have it. I don't know anything about this, I just have the first volume and I wanted to pick it up, so yeah, cool to have it. Up next, I picked up the 9th volume of Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible from Nene Yukamori. This is I would say, a pretty stock standard rom-com series following the story about this kid who's basically like invisible, or like can be invisible to most people. We're like, oh, that's his joke. He just can show up out of nowhere. And people are like, whoa, didn't know you were standing there. Except for this girl named Kubo, who always manages to notice him and may or may not have a crush on him. So yeah, it's about their story becoming friends and how he's starting to break out of his shell of being this quiet dude who just kind of sneaks out into an actual full-fledged I don't know how you want to call it, person who participates in his class and really cares. So yeah, it's a cute little rom-com. I'm enjoying it, and yeah, can't wait to read this volume. Alright, up next, I picked up the 6th volume of Blue Box from Koji Miura. So, been really enjoying this series. Been having a lot of fun with it. I've talked about it I feel like ad nauseum at this point, so like just go check out one of the other previous videos where I talk about it, or go check out the reading log coming up, because I did read this volume, so I will be talking about it then. Alright, up next I picked up the next volume of Mashle, Magic and Muscles Volume 13 from Hajime Komoto. So, yeah, recently caught up with this series. I've also talked about this one quite a bit. It is basically a Harry Potter satire, is the best way to put it, where the main character Mashle, or Mash, excuse me, does not have any abilities, or has no magic in this world full of magic. So yeah, it's about that. It's just a pretty cool action series. It's a ton of fun, really silly, really goofy, but getting serious, and we're getting into the end game. So yeah, excited to see where it goes. Alright, up next, we have the 3rd volume of Dark Gathering from Kenichi Kondo, which recently reached, I believe it was number 10. I had it at number 10 for my current favorite ongoing Shonen Jump series, specifically the Shonen Jump imprint. And because it's just a really cool horror series. It really stands out. It's really spooky, really creepy. The art is really good. Some of the character designs are kind of weird, but charming, I guess is the best way to put it. But really excited to have this volume, and I can't wait to get into more of it. Alright, up next, I picked up the 2nd volume of Siren from Toshiaki Iwashiro. Yeah, this is a really underrated series that kind of went under the, I would say, under the radar for the most part during the 2010s, including for me. I was reading it in the Shonen Jump magazine when it was printed, so that's why I wasn't picking up the volumes. But now that the series is out of print, it has become very difficult to find volumes of this, and I regret it all the time, because this series is actually really like a ton of fun. From what I remember, I actually haven't read the 1st volume in a very long time, but basically it follows a story about this dude and this girl who can enter this new world that's kind of like this sci-fi kind of like, appears to be like an apocalyptic world, and they can enter and exit almost at will, and yeah, they're just trying to figure out what is going on for the most part. So yeah, I haven't read it in a while, but we'll probably be reading it soon. Alright, up next, this is so awesome. I picked up the last 2 volumes that I needed of Claymore, so I'm officially finished with the series in terms of collecting. I'm almost done with reading it at this point, but yeah, super awesome story following this character named Claire, who is here with the short hair, and her life through this entire like crazy world where she has to basically fight and defeat these demons, and the only people who can defeat these demons are like these half Yoma is what they're called, half Yoma, half women, people that use giant claymores, basically. So yeah, it's a really cool series. The action's fantastic and the art is gorgeous. I can't wait to get into this, or at least finish up the series. I only have these 2 volumes left to read. Yeah, can't wait. Alright, second to last, I picked up the 1st volume of Blade of the Moon Princess from Tatsuya Endo. So, Tatsuya Endo, the mangaka behind the big hit Spy Family. Yeah, talked about this in the FVI as well for September, and you should definitely go check it out so you can get more opinions on it, or wait until the reading log for a TLDR. Whew, alright, and the last volume I picked up is actually an early release. I wasn't supposed to have this just yet, but it is Chainsaw Man Volume 12. It is the beginning of the 2nd part of Chainsaw Man from Tatsuki Fujimoto. Yeah, a lot of people will talk about this series and absolutely love it. I've talked about it as well, saying that I did not like the opening. I really thought the first like 6 volumes kind of sucked, not going to be completely honest, but it really picks up and ramps up right around the middle of the series, and it gets like super interesting at the end. So I was kind of curious. Basically, it was like I want to see where it goes with the 2nd part, and yeah, I now have the 12th volume, and I will be reading it soon, talking about it soon as well. So that is going to be everything that I picked up in the good old-fashioned month of 2023 September. Thank you for checking out this video. Did you pick up anything that I picked up in the month of September? Let me know in the comments below. Or did you read anything that I picked up in the month of September? Also leave it down in the comments below. And if you didn't do any of that, what did you pick up in the month of September? Also, let me know in the comments below. I like it when you guys talk about the series you guys are reading and enjoying, and also picking up as well, because it's kind of fun to have people who are parallel to me in terms of collecting stuff and picking up stuff, and it's just fun to talk about. I don't know. I like talking about manga. If you couldn't tell by this channel. Anyways, you know what to do. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. Those are all amazing things. Really appreciate it when you do all those things. And if you did not do any of that, thanks for watching this super long video where I talk about a bunch of manga. And that's going to be it for this one. So I will see you in the reading log in the next video, or whatever. If you're not watching this in order, then I'll see you in the next video. Bye.